Hi guys, so I wanted to do this short video because in my video where I talk about my opinion as to whether or not Harry and Meghan should attend the coronation of King Charles III, I referred to having gone to Edinburgh Castle and having seen a stone that is used in the coronation ceremony by being placed underneath the chair on which the king or queen sits. And as I was talking, I was just talking from my experience from my memory of having seen this stone and visited Edinburgh Castle. Edinburgh Castle, for those of you who don't know, is a castle in Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland. And Scotland is a nation within the United Kingdom, for those of you who don't know. So I thought, actually, let me look this up. And I read about it, and I thought, actually, it might be interesting for some of you out there if I did a really short video just to give some information about this stone. So I took the information from the edinburghcastle.scot website and some of it from Wikipedia, but most of it from the Edinburgh Castle .scot website. And basically it's called the Stone of Destiny. So first of all, I wasn't delusional. There is actually a stone and I had actually seen it. I wasn't imagining it. So it's called the Stone of Destiny. What the Edinburgh Castle website says is that it's an ancient symbol of Scotland's monarchy and that it was used for centuries in the inauguration of its kings. It also says that the actual date of its origin is completely unknown. But, I mean, it's been used for centuries. I mean, wow. In 1296, King Edward I of England took the stone and built it into a new throne at Westminster. So let's go back there. That's 1296, right? 1296 when it was taken by King Edward I of England to Westminster in London. 1296. Okay, that's the 13th century. Now, that's the 13th century when King Edward I took it. But it had already been used for centuries prior to that in the inauguration of Scottish kings. So can you imagine how old this stone is? So it's in Westminster. King Edward I takes it. He fits it into his chair. And since then, it's been used at Westminster Abbey for coronations of the monarch. So the monarch sits on this chair. It has the stone underneath. And it's the Stone of Destiny. And on Christmas Day in 1950, which is quite funny, that it was Christmas Day in 1950. So 5 Scottish students actually removed it from Westminster Abbey. Now, I have no idea how 5 people got into Westminster Abbey on Christmas Day and was able to get access to this stone and take it. I have no clue. But it took 3 months before it turned up at the high altar of Arbroath Abbey. And I hope I pronounced that correct. That's 500 miles away from Westminster Abbey. I mean, wow. And then in 1996, so I don't know what happened in between. I think there was obviously the stone was located, and then obviously it must have come back to England, etc., etc. But in 1996, so under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the stone was returned to Scotland, and it's obviously displayed at Edinburgh Castle with all the other sort of crown jewels, which are beautiful. I've seen them, and it's just amazing, like the Crown of Scotland and so forth. It's just beautiful. Go and see it. It's displayed in Edinburgh Castle, and then it leaves the castle, as I said in my previous video, when there are coronation ceremonies. So how exciting that now it's going to leave Edinburgh Castle for the King's coronation. And this is, in fact, the first time that there's been this arrangement where it's given back to Scotland and it stays there and it's displayed and then it comes back. It's the first time that the, as it were, agreement or treaty or whatever that was agreed in 1996 or around 1996. This is the first time that this is going to be implemented in accordance with that agreement. So that's quite cool, actually. And for me personally, I mean, I don't know how the Scottish feel, but for me personally, I think that's quite a proud moment, really. If I was Scottish, I think that's quite proud that this is your ancestral stone that meant so much to your country, and it's going to be in a sort of central role in the coronation. It's within the throne or the king's chair, where he will be anointed and inaugurated as the king of the United Kingdom. And visually, you've got his throne or his chair and this Scottish stone that he sits upon, which all other kings of Scotland sat upon. And to me, that's just, I would be so proud if I was Scottish. And what a great symbol of the unity, the brotherhood, the sisterhood between Scotland and England. I mean, how beautiful is that? I mean, others may disagree. Obviously, there's been a past, there's been a history, there's been wars, etc., etc. We can't deny that. But in 2023, I would be proud. As I was going through this, I actually thought to myself, oh my God, wouldn't this be so cool if there was a movie? I mean, this is like movie worthy. And then I Googled, and actually there is a movie. So there was a movie made in 2008, but it's about the Scottish students that stole the stone. I haven't seen it, and if I do get hold of it, and if anyone's interested, please leave a comment and let me know. But I can watch it and then give a review about the movie, because that's quite cool. But I would be interested in a movie going way back to when the stone was used by the kings of Scotland, and perhaps the sort of life, the timeline of the stone. So the stone being like the central part of the movie, and then the timeline going through, all the other coronations and going through to when we get to Charles. That would be quite cool. But I don't know if anyone else agrees. A funny note, though, is that the stone is actually referred to in the movie The King's Speech. You know, that movie with Colin Firth and Helena Bonham Carter. And Colin Firth plays King George VI, the Queen's father, Queen Elizabeth II's father. So King Charles's grandfather. And there is a scene where he's in Westminster Abbey and he sits on a chair that has the stone underneath, and it's quite funny because it's referred to. So that's quite funny, because again, it's just these little things. This is so little. I mean, how many people know about this? How many people are going to know this information when they're looking at the king sitting on his chair in the coronation? How many people are going to know the symbolism behind this, the history behind this, what it's doing there, where it's come from, where it originated from, the fact that it has come from Edinburgh Castle, where it sits with all the other crown jewels of Scotland. Like, how are people going to know this? But I feel like, this is just one of many historical elements and ritual elements and traditional elements and historical elements of the coronation of our monarch. And I feel like if people knew more about the ceremony, what it meant or what it means, what each stage and each step means, like the anointing with the oils, what does that mean? I mean, obviously people have seen it in the crown, but if people knew more about the ceremony, then perhaps people would be more fascinated and more interested, and their experience of watching it may be different. They may appreciate that this is a once in a lifetime experience and something that they can talk about and pass on to their children and their grandchildren and so forth. Because guys, I mean, the last coronation was 1953, was it? 1953. I mean, I wasn't alive. And some parents weren't alive. I mean, my mum was just about. But I was not alive. Okay, and all I've ever known in my lifetime is Queen Elizabeth II. I've only ever known a queen to be the head of state of my country. And now we are having a king. All the money will change. The post boxes will change. The stamps will change. There'll be a different face. And I will get to see a coronation sitting at the TV because unfortunately I'm not privileged enough to be invited. you know, but I will be watching it on TV. Like, oh my God, I get to watch this in real time as it's happening. And once it's done, everybody that comes after, they're not going to have seen that, right? So that's insane. That is insane. And I do hope in my lifetime, which I think is very likely, that I'll get to see William. I'm not sure whether I'll get to see the next one, but amazing. Just absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys were interested in this information. And yeah, just don't forget to subscribe, please. And press the bell button or whatever it is so that you can get notifications when I make other videos, and, you know, put any comments, but please keep them kind and keep them clean, and any recommendations as to what you would like me to talk about next time, and whether you thought this was even interesting and whether you've seen the stone. Okay, guys, well, thank you and have a nice day. Bye.